Jeffrey Epstein or P. Diddy? Which is the less
P.
of
Diddy,
the
let's just say P. Diddy.
P. Diddy.
Yeah.
Because of his good music?
Listen, you gave me a list there that was tricky to associate with it.
Cilliers Brink is FW de Klerk's FW de Klerk's granddaughter. No, I said no, I don't know. Why would you think that? He said, yeah. And his mother was the mayor in Centurion before the city was. Which of this is true?
None of that is true. None of that is. I've absolutely no relative of the clan.
Yeah, the guy who was
the other conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
And that's why, you made me winch when you mentioned Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Because if you want to talk conspiracy theory, during the strike, there was some crazy person also at some depot who told everybody, I'm actually family of the Oppenheimer. I'm Oppenheimer's grand. I think they're going to be cut down to size. I had to be honest with you. I don't really understand.
And you said in the past they're gonna die by 2026.
Yeah, I think they're going to be relegated to a very insignificant position in that company. Very clear answers. Not is this rumor true? Are you a beneficial interest holder in a company called Triotic? Did you declare it on time? And are you now disinvested to the extent that you have to be in terms of the law? So it is easy to make accusations, but we're asking a very pertinent question. And to show you how serious this is, the executive mayor, Nasipi Moya, acknowledged it, and she confirmed that the city is investigating it. 60% of those guys lost their contracts. They went berserk. Mm-hmm. We believe some of them have got some interest into the ANC, be that as it may. So I said, no, I want to see the new list. That new list was almost entirely black-owned. It wasn't a situation of now we impose standards and now suddenly, the white guys or coloreds or Indians got the contracts. Black-owned companies got it. Overwhelmingly, the companies that do business with the state are black-owned companies. And this idea that if you impose standards, you disadvantage black entrepreneurs, that is as bigoted and as prejudiced as anything that you can say in way.
Mashiane Politically Incorrect. I'm doing a different one. Please just bear with me. For context, I've included clippings of what Cilliers and I speaks about. So it's various things that I just thought, let me just incorporate it. So it gives you perspective and context into what we're speaking about. It's different things, but I hope you enjoy the rest of the podcast, and apologies for those who may not find this palatable. Thank you very much. Mashiane Politically Incorrect. Enjoy the podcast.
Thabela hore makgowa a boe because ANC e re isitse kgolo o tlhakatlhakane mo lefatshe la rona because of ANC. We want this white back.
Because ANC had an opportunity but failed to help you.
They failed to help us. Even now we are struggling. We are suffering because of ANC. Let them go and the white will come is the only solution. No, I can't. I don't think they will bring that apartheid again.
But the DA in the city of Tshwane must be allowed to lead ANC's Kabadi step.
Yes.
Thank you. Mashiane Politically Incorrect. I've got Cilliers Brink. I battled with his name, especially writing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw him with icebreakers just to break the ice so we can get to know him. And I've prepared mostly what I did with Penwell. So this is what I'm going to do. The game is pretty easy. I'm just gonna throw names. I'm gonna throw 3 names. You just pick the best. Even if you don't know, it's fine. This is just for the audience to know who Cilliers Brink is.
This is one of those questions that gets people into trouble.
Yes. Because we want Pretoria people to get to know you. Pretoria is called Pirara, by the way. So let's see. Sebukwe,
Robert,
Yeah. Sobukwe.
is that what you want me to do?
If there's
Is
no
to
declare-
make a connection.
Luthuli. So just pick any name amongst the three.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, who would be the best person here?
Oh, okay. I understand.
Yeah.
All right.
Who would be the best person? It's just three names. You just pick the one, and then the rest will just ignore. Or if you want to talk about all of them, let's do it. But I know we're pressed for time, so let's just see.
Yeah, well, let me choose de Klerk because he was the president that ended apartheid. Those other two names are very important in the liberation struggle. But from where I come from and the community that I grew up in, the formation of a democratic South Africa was very important. And whatever you have against de Klerk
Yeah.
and him being part of that system, he was also part of dismantling it.
Thank you.
Is that too much motivation for the...
That's good. That's good. Believe me, we want to humanize you. You come across in the media as a stern, autocrat who doesn't laugh, who doesn't do anything. We just want to humanize you.
That's terrible.
Re lebogile Mofokeng, Sasha Steinberg Mkomezulu, Kwena Maphaka.
When I'm up,
If you don't know them, it's fine.
I don't know them.
You don't know any of them?
No.
Okay, it's fine. He chickened out. He knows some of them, but I bet he's chickening out. Okay? White Lightning is
You actually
Alan
thinking
Donald.
about this.
I'm thinking about this because you chickened out on this one. And Dale Steyn. Alan Donald or Dale Steyn?
Well, Dale Steyn, because I grew up in Palabora. It's the Palabora Express, and it's one of my homeboys.
Okay, so you're picking it deliberately.
Yeah, what? I mean, this is not a deliberative exercise. You're just throwing punches.
Yes, I do. This one is a difficult one. And Jesus, Muhammad, or Krishna?
Jesus.
Yes.
That
Muhammad.
the closest connection I have to religious faith. I'm a Christian, so that makes sense.
Thank you. Gaten, Floyd, John Steenhuisen.
John Steenhuisen, of course.
Skalkberger, Dr. Kumalo, Sean Pollock.
I would say Dr. Kumalo.
Dr. Kumalo. I'm not going to ask you why. If you want to, you can tell me.
Well, legendary soccer player.
Okay.
If I have to choose one.
Okay. Maponya, Rupert, or Oppenheimer? Which of these families do you think are important in your politics, in your...
This is such a terrible question because any answer I give to that, you're going to say, capitalist.
This is why you are here, to make it difficult. I'm not going to make it easy for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, which one?
It is incredibly difficult. I suppose let's say Maponya this time.
Maponya. All right, sure.
Simply for the purposes of breaking old monopolies.
Thank you. This one is going to be very difficult for you, but let's check. Brenda Fassie, Lebo Matosa.
Brenda Fassie. No doubt.
You don't even hear. The last person was PJ Powers.
I love Brenda Fassie. No, Brenda Fassie.
All right, sharp. R. Kelly, Jeffrey Epstein, or P. Diddy? Yes, to pick a better devil.
No, man.
What?
So give me the list again.
R. Kelly.
You said
Jeffrey Epstein.
This is why
or P. Diddy.
Give me a list of... No.
But you must choose the better devil. You are going to go into a coalition. You are not going to win outright. And those people...
This is a question premised on coalition choices.
This you're going to have to do.
Give me that list again.
R. Kelly, Jeffrey Epstein, or P. Diddy? Which is the list of the most?
Let's just say P. Diddy.
P. Diddy.
Yeah.
Because of his good music?
Listen, you gave me a list there that was tricky to associate with.
All right. Ronaldo?
I chose the
better devil.
The better devil.
Ronaldo, Messi, or Pele the Great?
Pele the Great.
Pele the Great. Thank you very much. So now we can get to the interview.
Yeah, I survived the...
Yeah, you survived. So what I just want to do now, I just want the audience to get to know you. As I told you, you said you grew up in Palabora. I just want just want you to explain, like, where were you born? Did you go to Palabora? Did you grow up there? Why did you come to the city and all of that? Just something that you think we don't know, we the citizens of the city.
So I was born in a place called Springs. For the first 10 years of my life, I grew up in Brakpan.
Okay.
Which, it's got
yes.
East Rand vibes.
Yeah.
And really from early on, my parents spoke to me about serious stuff in the world. I was born in 1987. So when I was about 4 or 5 years old, you get your first memories of dinner table conversations, what's going on. That's when we had constitutional negotiations, CODESA, we had the Iraq War. And I suppose I've always been a little bit of a political geek, interest in the world and what's happening. And my father felt very seriously about the transition to democracy. He felt very strongly that that's the only way that we can have a just and sustainable society. And I remember my initial political thoughts being shaped by those discussions. And in some instances, those fights. Because remember, few people know this, but in 1992, white South Africans voted up or down for constitutional changes. And 69% of white South Africans ended up voting for democratic changes. And that was a bit of a background to my experiences. But if you had asked me what I wanted to be when I was a kid, I would probably say like a policeman, fireman or something. It's only later on when I started reading newspapers, and later we moved to Palabora in Limpopo, a very, very hot place. And this is the time before social media. So you didn't get your news from, what year were you born?
79.
79. Okay, you're a bit older than me. But you understand that, nowadays it's all social media. Back then it was a time before Facebook. And Palabora, which is close to the Kruger Park in Limpopo, it's at the very end of the newspaper run. So the trucks would get there with the newspapers by 1 o'clock when school was out. And I would devour those newspapers, and I'll write letters to the newspapers. That was my early form of political activism. And that shaped a lot of my initial political thoughts and decisions.
You grew up in Palabora. Maybe, let's say you went there when you were 10.
10, yes.
Yeah. Which schools did you go to there?
I went to a primary school called Laerskool Palaborwa Noord. It's now called it has always been called the Red School.
Oh, okay.
The town has got 2 schools, 3 schools, one blue one, one green one, and one red one. I went to the red one.
Yeah. Okay.
And then high school, I went to a place called Kingfisher Private School in Palabora. A small school, and also excellent experiences growing up next to the park, next to nature. It was wonderful. Palabora depended at that time a great deal on the mines, on the big mines. It was Rio Tinto had the big stake in the copper mine, and unfortunately, those companies started to divest. And as they did, you could see as the money left town, many things which the mining companies that maintained, Rio Tinto in particular, started deteriorating. The mine used to grade the roads and maintain basic service infrastructure. But eventually most of those assets were divested, and it's now a Chinese company that owns the big copper mine in Palabora, and Foscor is the other mine, which I think it's a parastatal. It is also, the town is not doing as well. It used to be very, very clean and safe place. Town of the year, I think, in 2006. But part of the unfortunate decline of so many of the smaller towns in the country.
Kingfisher?
You remember well.
Yeah. Why didn't you go to France du Toy? Was your family,
you know this place?
Was your family a bit...
Well, it was a decision to go to that school because it was smaller classes and my family could afford it.
Okay.
We had the means to do it. So it was an academic choice to say, and Kingfisher is a wonderful school. You can have a look at it. It's an amazing place. It's one of the institutions in reality nowadays is more and more people send their kids to private school. Because people want the best for their children, as did my parents. And shout out to anyone from Kingfisher watching.
Okay. So, plus minus, how many years would you say you spent in Palabora?
About until 2006, 2005, 2006.
Have you ever been to Namahale, Lekane,
Skito?
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you ever been to those places?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Were you there in political activism or?
It was a little bit early, but I went as far afield as Thohoyandou in the provincial structures of the DA in Limpopo, and my friend, his dad was the head of the Sustainable Development Unit at Palabora Mining Company, the Palabora Foundation, and they did a lot of work in Namahale and Rulekani. So it's the nice thing about small towns. It is pretty flat and accessible, and there's quite a good interchange between different parts of the community. Yeah.
So when do you arrive in Pretoria? Is it you coming back to your family roots, or is it you moving into a new city? I'm asking because most of us. By the way, I'm from Palabora.
You are from Palabora,
so it's most of us.
Why didn't you start off with that?
No, I just wanted.
Did you go to Francis Toy?
No, I didn't go to France to it.
Where'd you go?
I went to Smalamaholo.
Okay.
And many others.
Yeah.
We're just hip hopping into those schools.
All right.
When we come to Gauteng, it's a cultural shock for us because a lot of things have not been exposed to. Like you said, small town. Then we come to a big city. How did you find? I know we grew up in the East Rand, the Brakpan. When you come here, do you find the politics too fast? What is it that you find? Because we're going to talk about the politics of DA, very different from ANC and EFF politics. So when you come to the city, what are the cultural shocks? What is it that you find different?
So firstly, the motivation of coming to the city. Pretoria is like the cosmopolitan center of Limpopo and Mpumalanga, Northwest. University of Pretoria, my sister studied University of Pretoria, obviously a very good university. And I just decided to study law. Obviously, law is a good career. It's a good way to make a living. But my primary motivation was always politics. And if you look at Mandela and de Klerk and many of the politicians who came up in South Africa, law was their entry into that. So I enjoyed law, and it is a way to have an income and a profession independent of politics, and that is incredibly important because you don't want to be a mercenary. The moment that you can no longer stick to your principles, or you're forced to make decisions that other people dictate to you, you want to be in an ability to say, no, I am leaving now. I'm going to earn a decent living by myself. But it was, I suppose, a little bit of a cultural difference. I wouldn't say it's a shock, but people who grow up in small towns and who function in small communities, it's friendlier, it's more accessible. It is. I had the fortunate position of having family in Pretoria to assist me, but you always get your Pretoria kids and the res kids. I wasn't in residence, and they've got their support networks. But anyway, that I overcame, and to a large degree, people also go into stuff like politics and political societies in order to make friends and meet girlfriends and build social networks. So it was a pleasant experience. I ended up, as many politicians, being more of a political student than a law student. But I attained my degree, did my articles, including at Savage Joost and Adams here in Pretoria. But I was elected into politics, into council very, very early on the suggestion. Somebody told me, no, put your name in, give it a go. This is after we established DA Students Organization at Tux. And the person told me, listen, you won't get anywhere, but just go through the process. Go for the interview, try and get on the candidate list. And then I ended up being number 13, which is a very electable position on the DA list for Tshwane.
That's good. Remember when the rumblings about your removal, there was a big campaign about the monk. and the monk came, you were dislodged, and I spoke to one of the guys, and someone said, hey Mashiane, you know, Cilliers Brink is FWD cleric's FWD what? Granddaughter. No, I said, no, I don't know. Why would you think that? He said, yeah. And his mother was the mayor in Centurion before the city. Which of this is true?
None of that is true. None of that is. I've absolutely no relative of the clan.
Yeah, the guy who was
The other conspiracy theory,
Yeah.
and that's why, you made me winch when you mentioned Oppenheimer. Because if you want to talk conspiracy theory, during the strike, there was some crazy person also at some depot who told everybody, I'm actually family of the Oppenheimer. I'm Oppenheimer's and then I was Rupert's cousin. But I can honestly say I come free from the baggage of any former politician.
Do you not wish?
Or business leaders.
Do you not wish?
No, because I think that it's also it's a curse to be carrying somebody else's legacy. I don't want to geek out on you, but I'm reading a book now on a guy called Rockefeller. Now I don't know if you know the name Rockefeller. John Rockefeller. They started Standard Oil, and his grandson Nelson Rockefeller was a big leader in the Republican Party in the 1960s, and clever, articulate, all of the means in the world. He was the richest man in the world at one stage, but none of that could make him a compelling leader, a compelling candidate for the US presidency. So I think that in legacy families, you often get the second and the third generation struggle to define themselves. So making things to a large degree by yourself is also a character building exercise. It's a way of stamping your own authentic seal on life and your choices in life.
Lots of debt has been thrown at you. Lots of debt. You were an easy candidate to be a smeared campaign as racist and stuff. Yeah, because I was on the ground, and I was on the ground a lot during your mayorship, and I asked people in communities, and some of the people actually believed that you don't like townships because they are black, and you like the suburbs. And
to go to the townships, in the black townships in particular, because they are using the racist system of whites. All the budget, they took all the budget, they sent it to Woma Waterkloof, where there is the white people.
In what 80, majority is black people. I can tell you now, there's a few black people that can say the DA has done things for them.
So you do... the DA, the accusation is correct that they were serving white communities in Gauteng, in Tshwane.
Look, to that extent, yes, I can agree to that narrative, because personally, there is nothing that I can point out that the DA has done for me. Look, I've been a member for this organization since 2019.
The African communities in the townships have been vindicated because the political parties have actually said what they've been alleging in the townships. Because you would know, I went to the townships. They've been alleging that this man services white communities, and in council they said that exactly. Do you, representing Tshwane Parliament, do you feel vindicated as well?
We are vindicated. We always told you that this man is not actually having the ambition to stabilize the city, wanted to stabilize the coalition. But now, the coalition partner, Action SA, are vindicated because of Nanjaba Kukunelwa. And I'm happy they are got big ups to Action SA. It has saved capital city. It have resuscitated. But
when Jackie was here, I even asked her about how are you going to balance that particular allegation versus, and I don't know how you termed it, but you had a nice phrase about it. Those who pay receive the service. And I asked her, it's a very delicate balance, because I'm angry at you that I don't have to have full services, but I pay my rates. I'm a citizen, I'm a good citizen, and if I pay, I want the services, street lights, the drainage systems, I need everything because I pay. And if you have to balance it with, if this this community does not pay, you're not going to take services, because you much rather take those services and give to people who are paying. And that has made you an easy target for racial division in the city. And everyone was rambling about the township.
So I mean, that's interesting, because there at this outset, there's a stereotype. It's like,
it's deliberate.
if you fight for people who pay their accounts, you're fighting for the suburbs instead of the townships. The stereotype underlying that attack is that people in the townships don't pay, people in the suburbs do. We know the reality is non-payment runs across township and suburb. And if whether in township or suburb, somebody can pay and they don't pay, they disadvantage their neighbor who does pay. And the ability of any government to sustain social services, to make sure that there is a portion of free basic services to the poor, water, electricity, waste collection, that there is a municipality that actually functions, that we don't turn Tshwane into something that looks like most of the Northwest or the Free State, where those municipalities are falling apart. You need a system of rules. And that is not coded black or white. That is simply our constitutional system. It's good management. It's good leadership. But I knew that this was coming. And by the way, whether I am white or black, young or old, this is coded into our politics, because it's the ANC's last defense. Of course, the ANC was always going to say that I was a racist, that I don't care about it. I knew it, and that's why the first places that I visited when I was elected mayor was not the suburbs, it was the townships. I took the deliberate decision to visit Mabopane, Shoshangupe, Atteridgeville, Zitubene, and I took the ANC ward councillors with me, because those are the legitimate elected representatives of the people. Our capital budget, the majority of that was consistently spent either in townships or for the benefit of township communities. The upgrade of Rooiwal wastewater treatment plant, the appointment of DBSA to do the work that was not done there by Edwin Sodi and his associates. Those projects took up the majority of our time, majority of our focus. The DA has got very little to offer if we don't stick to our promise of being a party for all. That is encoded in our DNA. But remember, the ANC, having corrupted and captured the state, deployed cadres, and now descended to levels of criminality to stay in office, have to have a last-ditch attack, have to have something that separates them, or something that at least makes the DA look bad. And that is where the rhetoric comes from. The interesting thing is, if you were to invite the mayor of Cape Town, you can challenge him with the exact same rhetoric. And yet Cape Town, figure for figure, statistic for statistic, has the best access of free basic services, water, electricity, sanitation, to the poorest of the poor of any place in the country. There's massive inequality, and of course, critics will say, but look at the inequality. The point is not the inequality, the point is, do you provide a level of free basic services for the poor? The other thing that I think is important to notice is that Tshwane can, of course, deliver much better. It can play a far better developmental role if it has a bigger capital budget, if there's more money to spend on infrastructure projects. Let's take the following, and I know you said you don't want to hear too much statistics and stuff. You take City of Cape Town in 2006, City of Tshwane in 2006, about 19 years ago. City of Cape Town had a capital budget, and now this is a budget that you build substations, roads, sewerage, etc., service delivery goods. It had a capital budget of 1.5 billion. Tshwane had a capital budget of 1 billion back in 2006. Fast forward to today, Cape Town has got a capital budget of 9 billion. Tshwane has got a capital budget of 2.5 billion. So in that period of time, there was a massive difference from a relative similar position. And that difference was good management, stable political leadership, none of the coalition chaos that Tshwane had. And that's where we have to get our city. And there, if we're in that position to spend capital budget on service delivery infrastructure, it will significantly improve service delivery, including to townships and areas that have been historically neglected.
I want to talk about the infrastructure sabotage. During the time of the strike, you had lots of sabotage within But before I do that, remember Abel Tau that you served under? So I spoke to Abel Tau a few years ago, and one of the things he told me is, the election system of Democratic Alliance, and people being
Where's Abel now?
he's the spokesperson of MK.
He's with MK.
Thing, yeah.
All right. So he's been a few places.
Yes, yeah. So, and it was astounding for me. You just said now when you spoke about the interviews, that you went to the interviews. This is something foreign for us who understand the politics of South African, black parties. Can you just be kind for us to paint us the picture of what is the hierarchy in Tshwane? Who's the chairperson? If you have a secretary, please tell us, just so we could understand the politics of DA better. Structurally, who's the chairperson? Who does this? And yeah.
So
Full-time politics, I became the regional chairperson at DA Motswane, so I got into a very nice setup. In the DA it's nice. The bosses in Cape Town decide who becomes the regional chairperson, Mufatsimo, and then they've got what they call political heads, so those ones who appoint the branch chairs, and they are congressing, and there's a nice election that happens.
They deny that. When we put it to them, they deny it.
Come on, who's going to accept?
When we say they are anointed from Cape Town.
No, I'm from there, bro. They can say whatever. I'm not bitter. I've demonstrated what.
While you are on that, can you confirm that in Lebona they do at the DA, they do have cadre deployment? Because what you said is just akin to a cadre deployment.
No, absolutely. I mean, why was Marietta Okamp in that office?
let me just begin with an important difference.
Yeah.
We believe that skills, expertise, and the ability to answer a question like I'm answering your questions is as important to politics as it is when you are hiring somebody or hiring a manager.
True.
A big reason why municipalities don't work is because you have mayors and councillors who sit there who know very little, and then they are dominated and run circles around by officials who are in fact politicians, but somehow they got into the system, and so they are pulling the mayor's chain. You don't want that. You don't want puppet mayors. You want politicians who can engage on a certain level, who's got a level of expertise, but who also have democratic legitimacy. In other words, you're not just somebody who responded to an ad in a newspaper. You actually have a support base in a constituency. How we do things is the party elects our structures. We've got a regional congress. It elects a regional executive committee like other parties. That regional executive committee, elected by the branches, the properly constituted branches of the party. And by the way, the DA has got a branch in every single one of Tshwane's 107 wards. And we don't beat each other, and we don't shoot each other, and we don't fight over those elections. We have them in an orderly fashion, because that's what South Africa needs, even in political parties, so it can reflect in government. And then from the REC, a selection panel is elected. In Tshwane, the chairperson of the selection panel is not a politician. His name is Hlolohelo Lesetla. He's an electrical engineer, is an ordinary party member. And he directs the process of the questions and the submission of candidates. You go for your interview, you answer questions such as, what are the key provisions of this act? What are the key priorities? What is your level of community participation? Who can we speak to validate that you are in fact a leader in this community? So it is a far more orderly way of doing things, but it is through a democratic process. You have to have an elective Congress as a political party. Political parties don't have elective Congresses. Simply can't validate. They can make promises, but they can never actually guarantee that they can deliver those promises. And if you look at it that way, you can count the number of political parties that are actually democratically legitimate on one hand.
So the stark difference that you are drawing now is you in the DA believe in meritocracy more by fielding the best candidates that you have by internally interviewing them to best check this is the best candidate for this deployment, and you seem to suggest that other political parties, they don't.
Oh, we know they don't. I mean, the chaos of the ANC in Tshwane at the moment. They were meant to have their regional congress in June, and then they were meant to have it in July, and maybe they'll have it in August. We hear that, you know, only 44 branches have in fact selected delegates, and unfortunately, you know, as the ANC loses power, it depends more and more on muscle to solidify its power. And that's why there's the specter of violence and chaos around the ANC elective congresses. And that's really bad, because the moment you invite violence into your elective processes, there becomes a race of who's the strong man. Like, can I bring a crowd to the branch meeting and honor you so that I can become the councillor? If I can do that and win, it in fact solidifies a violent process, and no wonder there's so much chaos across the breadth of our country. So, you know, I think that a new way of doing internal party politics is also very important if we're going to change government.
When Dr. Moya had, I'll call it the cabinet, the mayoral council, I asked her, so what was the makeup of your selection? Did you screen these people, or you just said, EFF, we've got 2 positions for you, give me your best candidate? Or you said, I want a candidate.
Oh, we talk about the mayoral committee now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So I said, so Dr. Maya, just explain it to me. Like, do you go to the ANC, says, I've got 3 positions. On this position, I want someone who meet this criteria? Or you just have got 3 positions, give me your best people? So meaning that whoever they give, you're going to have to work with them. You understand where I'm going? So this is a big contrast from what you were saying, because you would vet your people, and when you plan them into deployment positions, you know they meet the criteria that warrants a good officer to do that.
What went into choosing specific portfolios in your mayoral committee? What is it? Was it just convincing? Was it just lobbying, or you put your heart based on the individual and where they are from?
So I think the first one was to say to all political parties, these are the portfolios we have. Who do you have that can be the best for each portfolio?
And you spoke about the difference between you and I just want to understand.
There is a bit of a distinction here. No?
Yeah.
Because what I'm talking about is candidates selection. How do you become a councillor? How do you become a mayoral candidate in the party? But obviously, when you form a coalition government,
and that's why
you cannot determine the choices, all of the choices of your opponents. You have to negotiate.
Yes.
But obviously, you've got certain principles and red lines. I mean, if you're a convicted armed robber or something, or it's going to be incredibly difficult for me to say, okay, Nashap, I'll just take your name and put it there next to housing. You have to apply your mind. And that's why it is very important that what goes into these coalition negotiations actually get explained to people. What are you negotiating about?
That's exactly,
where's the contract?
Cilliers, this is exactly why I'm asking you this question, because you've been in government for a long time, and you understand how it works, and you are going back. You just had your Action SA, where they did not honor the marriage contract that you had with them, and when you were unceremoniously removed, it's one of the things that you lamented on, that the agreement that we had, it wasn't honored, and you're going to have to go and work with them next year. Chances are...
Oh, I think they're going to be cut down to size. And to be honest with you, I don't really understand.
And you said in the past, they're going to die by 2026.
Yeah, I think they're going to be relegated to a very insignificant position.
Action SA. In fact, the mayor, what is he saying today? To say 2026 you'll be dead is what they've been aiming to do even before these elections of 2024. So we know exactly that they won't want to see Action SA existing. They will want to liquidate us.
And it's not because of what they said and didn't say to me. It's about the voters. When you tell people this is what I'm about, and you go and you turn around and you do the exact opposite, people don't forget that kind of thing. But honoring your commitment to the voters, that's the important thing. Coalitions come and go, and obviously honor and integrity and keeping to a word is also important there. because it also reflects to voters what you're about. But, I just keep seeing in my mind that thing where Mashaba says, under no circumstances would I ever work for the ANC, ever, ever, ever. And, he's the owner of the party. That's the other thing about having an elective Congress. Action SA is not Nasipi Moya. It's not whoever they put there. It's Herman Mashaba. He decides, he pays the bills. And I'm sure he's an excellent businessman and investor for his own purposes, but it's not a good way of running a political party that can actually follow through on a program of government.
But to his defense, I spoke to Herman, and I spoke to Fuzingobedi as well.
Fuzingobeni.
Yeah, what they lament in that particular time, they said to me, Mashiane, Fuzingobeni, to be specific, he said they made errors by trusting DA. DA said, we're not going to talk with ANC. And when they looked the other way, DA ran, talked to the ANC, and even formed the government of national unity and chucked them out. And to that defense, I actually understand where they come from. And Mashaba was heartbroken, and he had to break the marriage with DA in Tshwane. This is my understanding of them.
See, and remove all of us. That's the backstabbing I'm talking about, because if they were interested in working with us, the DA, maybe with the ANC, they will have informed us and said, look, we are talking to the ANC, we want to form a coalition at local government, but we will be working with you as well. That didn't happen.
Very much. Are you regretful for having not joined the GNU? And should another opportunity present itself in future, would you work with in a government of national unity or a grand coalition?
I don't know what it means by regret, because obviously you regret if you made a mistake. Our decision not to be part of this grand coalition was deliberate.
In terms of events, you'll actually see that we were stabbed at the back. And when we were stabbed at the back, we had to react. And luckily ANC spoke to us as well to say, we are talking to those ones, they are actually wanting to remove you. And we said, okay, that's fine. Can we then talk? So we saved our own lives because we are going to be removed by the DA until 2026. But what is important is the second part of it, is the governance and administration of this administration, Brink. I think people tend to say, particularly those who belong to the DA, that Mayor Brink was the best mayor ever to come to Tshwane. It's a lie. Mayor Brink is an average mayor. In fact, he's very incompetent. He has actually misled the city. If you look at what happened with the strike, if you look at the 6.8 billion that is owed to ESCOM, if you look at many challenges that are experienced in communities, you can see that this is a mayor that was failing. But because they have a very strong PR exercise, a PR machine, they are portraying themselves as if this mayor is the best thing that has...
This is the story that they tell after the fact.
Of course.
The point of fact is that they went into the Moonshot Pact, the multi-party charter for South Africa, which was an attempt by parties who are not the ANC, the EFF and MK, to form a majority government so that we can steer the country in a different direction. The multi-party charter, unfortunately, did not attain anything close to a majority or a plurality to govern any part of South Africa. A big part of that was that Action SA imploded. The support that it got in the cities, if you look here in Tshwane, where they got 10% in the local election in 2021, they were cut down to 5%. They were cut in half, essentially. Mashaba was not a vigorous and active leader of his party. He spent a lot of time during the election campaign overseas. He sent this chap called Michael Beaumont to do the negotiations, to make the decisions. And then when he saw that the election outcome had imploded for them, Mashaba flies back. He's like, hey, what's going on here? And he shouts at everybody. And, Beaumont becomes the scapegoat because he let the party be misguided into going into the multi-party charter. The point is, Mashaba always looks to blame somebody else for his own bad decisions, his own bad conduct. And there was an open invitation when the government of national unity was formed. The country had to be governed. The DA at no point said that we will never form a government of national unity with the ANC. Never. There was no such unequivocal position, because what we said to people is we think it's a really bad idea if the ANC governs the country in coalition with the MK and the EFF. Action SA was not excluded from discussions over the government of national unity. They decided to exclude themselves.
Trying to please you.
Sorry?
Trying to please DA.
No, I don't think at all. I mean, why would you please us by refusing to go into those discussions when the DA was at the discussion table? The DA wasn't in secret. Obviously, we're going to talk to the ANC, we're going to talk to IFP and other parts. And IFP also was part of that multi-party charter. The Freedom Front Plus was part of that multi-party charter. So this idea that, even though Action SA underperformed and multi-party charter didn't get a majority, now we must stand outside and let the government be dominated by the ANC and the EFF and MK just because of Mashaba's ego. That's not in the country's interest, and that's not the commitment that was made. But the point is, Tshwane didn't need a coalition between the DA and the ANC to have an effective government, to have a stable government. We had an arrangement with Action SA. We had the numbers. It was a slim majority. Action SA had significant input into that government. The position of deputy mayor had been created for them. Mashiane Moya was the first person to be the deputy mayor of Tshwane with significant delegations. In fact, Action SA has been in government in Tshwane since 2021. And it was a political deal. So regardless of what Funzi and Mashaba said, they just didn't want a DA mayor in Tshwane. They reached this deal with the ANC in Gauteng. Give us the mayoral chain. We're your junior partner effectively. We get to wear the chain, but the important decisions get made by the ANC. That's the model of government. It's a model with Gwamanda. The ANC steps back because they can no longer field credible leadership. They make the crucial decisions. They push somebody else forward. It's a way of escaping accountability, and we have to call it out.
So they chow from the back while they put a front.
Yes, exactly that. Exactly that. And the ANC is in a crisis because they cannot even field a candidate in Tshwane to be the mayor that is acceptable to their National Executive Committee. Now, how terrible a position you have to be in then. And it's really important for voters to understand this and to create some order in the chaos of coalitions. The party that holds the mayor must be either the biggest party or the second biggest party. There must be a written coalition agreement that tells the public what deals have been made. There must be clear accountability so that when it comes to, whose fault is this budget deficit? Whose fault is this rigged tender? Whose fault? So it's not, we had an Action SA mayor for a few weeks and then we had a DA mayor and then there was... So we need certainty and stability, and I think voters also instinctively understand that.
Thank you. You made Dr. Moya a deputy mayor and the opposition...
No, she was elected. It was an elected position. What I did for my commitment, our coalition agreement in 2021 said we will create the position of deputy mayor. It will go to Action SA. Obviously, I wasn't mayor in 2021. I came later when Randall Williams resigned in 2023. And that was one of the commitments that we hadn't followed through on. And we made the very clear decision to stabilize this coalition and to show our coalition partners that we are serious about power sharing. Let's create this position. Let's give it significant oversight powers. And that position was elected by council.
The opposition wasn't happy?
No.
And now the opposition work in that system. They've got a deputy mayor now.
Yes.
How do they justify their is it backtracking or is it flip-flopping? How do they justify it?
Oh, no. I mean, if you know the ANC, they don't care about this thing called justification. No, it's just about power. It's a different story when you get into power.
Okay.
I'm honestly more worried about the leader that occupies that position of deputy mayor at the moment. A very nice guy, Eugene Modise, but it is clear to us that he's got interests in a security company that does business with the municipality. And being a councillor and having interest in a company that has contracts with the municipality, a security company, it is a conflict of interest that has to be managed. So you have to declare it, you have to divest it. We haven't had a clear answer from Eugene Modise, his position. and the matter is now the public protector. So that, quite frankly, to me is more of a concern. This is also, by the way, the MMC finance of the city.
I'm tempted to ask you to follow up this with Eugene and go back to finish the question that we had. So let me do this. Let me just go back. So you are saying, in essence, because you can't control the opposition, and when you are negotiating, even if they give you the mamparest of the mamparest, a grade one level education, who's going to be an MMC of finance?
No, because...
Are you going to take it? Because the question is very deliberate.
So there's a lot of talk. When the president made his decision on firing the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Andrew Whitfield, there was a lot of talk of prerogative, and prerogative just means it's your power to appoint a cabinet minister or a deputy minister. So it's the prerogative of the executive mayor to appoint your mayoral committee, but you exercise that prerogative in terms of an agreement that you have with your coalition partners. So that's just it's not enforceable, but it's one of those word of honor type of things. And in the coalition agreements that we signed up to, there is a provision called fit for purpose. So even though you might be from, say, the IFP, you put a name forward for MMC for environment, and as executive mayor, I judge that you might not be suitable for that position for whatever reason. That's one of the things that you raise in negotiations. And if it's serious enough, and obviously you make these calculations in politics, like how serious is it? If you've got one party that's your coalition partner, and that one party is a member who maybe doesn't have an education or so on, you would have to decide. In the circumstances, do I break the coalition because of that, or do I compensate for that somehow? But the ultimate judgment, the power, the prerogative is with the executive mayor.
So you do understand that by that you are somewhat forcing these guys who are going to go into coalition with to have some sort of checks and balances, meritocracy. They have to fill the best candidates for you and stuff. Do you think the parties who are MK is going to be in the picture next year, ANC is the Action SA, not much IFP in our benches here in this council.
It's fun at the moment.
Yeah, so we do understand these potential partners. They're going to have to say, we give you the chains. We don't mind. Cilliers, here are the chains. Just give us one MMC or just give us. So, how friendly is it? Do you think you're going to manage it? Because
you obviously have to take your opponents and your partners as you find them. We can dictate our internal processes as the Democratic Alliance, and that's why we ask people vote for us, because we give it a level of assurance. We bring up the best people. We ensure diversity. We deploy for fit for purpose, if I can use that word, deploy, but that's not DA language.
We
don't use that language. But we can do those things, but you are limited in coalition negotiations. You can't say, oh, listen, I would rather like your colleague better than you. You can't do that, because then you're dictating, and you've got to have a sense of humility. So even though they love to paint the DA, you're arrogant, you're hardaghat, whatever, we've got a lot of experience in holding coalitions together. Many of those coalitions you don't even know about, because it's somewhere in the rural Western Cape or Eastern Cape or Northern Cape. But obviously you can't choose the people. You can only at best raise a serious objection to say, no, this person has got this against them, or they completely unqualified.
So in short, you're going to take whatever mediocrity they planned with you.
No, I think that's a fair assessment. If there is a clearly unsuitable candidate, then it becomes a point of, listen, this coalition's not going to work.
All right, thanks. Talking about Eugene Bonso Modise, I spoke to him last year when he was smelling blood. He had just taken you out. And I said, Eugene, man, there's allegations that Cilliers family is involved in in meter.
Why you didn't tell me this?
Yeah, meter tenders. What are you going to do? He said, yes, we know about it. We are going to investigate it. We have sent it. They said they'll help. So this. Oh, he said we send it and we're gonna work on it. So it's almost a year now. Ever since that nothing has come out of it. And I also asked Kwena. Yeah, I said Kwena, but what do you know about this? He said, no, it's rubbish. It isn't here. And now you are telling me that Bonso, you have his links with these security companies, you have taken it for some. Were the allegations true about you and your family links about the meter project, the meter tenders? Is it a game of allegations through allegations?
No, I mean,
There are allegations on social media that suggest that Brink's family is involved in the electricity meter tender. Has that information passed your office? Are you dwelling on it? Are you going to investigate it further?
We are busy with it. Actually, we have notified the SIU about that matter. It's not only that matter, but I won't disclose others because we are busy with our legal team. We are going to explore all avenues and we are going to investigate further, and we'll come to the public and notify the public about the shenanigans which were done here in the past 18 years.
I just spoke to the ANC chairperson, Bonso Modise. Amongst other things, he said they are going to approach the authorities regarding the tender of electricity meters where they are implicating Cilliers Brink. Do you know anything about it, and how does DA respond to that?
They must investigate. We have nothing to hide. As a party, Cilliers has nothing to hide as the former mayor, so they're more than willing to investigate.
I spoke to Bonzo. He speaks about that allegation that Brink is going to be investigated for having involved his family in the electricity meter tender. What is your stance around that matter?
Well, I'm sure you're aware, for us as Action SA, and me in particular, corruption is the last thing that anyone can ever really protect. We know Action, anyone working with us, we've committed to fighting corruption. Obviously, the issue with Brink or anyone else, I'm hearing not for the first time, I've heard it in the corridors, and I don't operate on gossip. I think we've...
If you can give me a company name, if you can give me a person's name, if you can show me a document that links me, then there's something to answer to.
Yeah.
In the absence of that, I can tell you absolutely no, nothing, nix. It's no connection. So the differences, and this is what you're saying, anyone can make an allegation.
Yes, yes.
There was a company called Triotic. Eugene Modise was a director of that company. That company has got a contract with Tshwane. The question which Mr. Modise, Councillor Modise, must answer in clear terms. Did he divest his interest in that company, yes or no? And if he did he sell it? Did he donate it? Who did he donate it to? Because if you donate it to your cousin or to the mother of your child or whatever, then you still have an effective interest in that company. Very clear answers. Not, is this rumor true? Are you a beneficial interest holder in a company called Triotic? Did you declare it on time? And are you now disinvested to the extent that you have to be in terms of the law? So it is easy to make accusations, but we are asking a very pertinent question. And just show you how serious this is. The executive mayor, Nasipi Moya, acknowledged it, and she confirmed that the city is investigating it. And you wouldn't have that if it was just a rumor. Why would the mayor pick up a stompy and say, no, I'm investigating this? So she has said that, but we haven't heard anything.
Ethics committees there by council?
The what?
Ethics committee of some sort who will just check conflict of interest with such?
There is a rules and ethics committee, and it usually looks at accusations against councillors, these ethical issues, and the speaker is the custodian of that. So it is important. But really, as the leader of government, as an executive mayor, just like the president would look after, would take certain steps when there are accusations against the minister of police, the executive mayor, it is completely appropriate and necessary for her to do that. But there is an ethics committee. Unfortunately, it's clogged, It's very, very clogged, and they are backdated. There's even, I think, a residual case against the mayor at the ethics committee resulting from a trip. You remember that thing where she had to pay back the money?
Okay, any corporate governance, something that will just, this is how we do. This wasn't declared. As long as it's declared, there's no any such things with.
Oh, the law is clear. As a councillor, you can't do business with the municipality where you're the councillor. That's. There's an obligation to do an annual declaration of interests. So gifts, I've got this shares in this company, and there's a threshold. I think it's 1,000 rand.
If it's found wanting, what are the punitive remember?
So council and this ethics committee of council can decide, and if that council committee fails to decide, it goes to the MEC for local government, and that the MEC for local government can also make. Now I see you laughing because these are all politicians picking up the politicians. And I get the sense, the system is rigged against itself. However, what we do as opposition politicians and what gets done to us when we're in government is this information is released to the public, and Deputy Mayor Modise is put in a position where it's, okay, please answer these questions, and failure to answer those questions have got political consequences. I think that there is a great deal of frustration with lack of consequence, lucky, and not enough people get arrested. The deputy president, what did he have to do for failing to declare his house? I think he paid 10,000 rand or something.
Yes,
it's like some small change. So, but his loss of reputational integrity because of that is something that he won't be able to fix. Nobody's going to forget that 28 million rand house in Constantia.
You don't know the ANC. By the way, okay, let's.
Yeah, but it's not up to the ANC.
Yeah.
It's not up to the. And this thing of, thinking of the South African people as if it's the ANC, like everybody's just ANC. The ANC has got a historical, predominant role in this country, which you can understand. People have got emotional ties to the ANC. However, more and more people are becoming critical of the ANC. More and more people are getting used to democracy and the kind of standards that democracy imposes. So I don't have faith in the future of the ANC and its leadership, but I do believe in the South African people, and I do believe there's a common interest that whatever other differences there might have been between you and me or anybody else, there is a shared South African interest in the Constitution, the rule of law, and getting our economy growing.
I think that you guys do in the city that I would not even imagine happening in corporate. I heard you the other day speaking about assets not being, is it verified, like whether immovable or whatever assets. So the city does not even know what kind of assets it has.
Yeah, you have to think here, not in terms of printers and screens and so on, although those are also important assets. But here you've got quite unique assets, like service delivery assets. A wastewater treatment plant is an asset. A road that has been constructed is an asset. A substation line is an asset. And there are certain complexities here. And what you find with municipalities in financial trouble, they start a project, they start building a road, then the money runs out, or some construction mafia stops the project, or the subcontractor goes bankrupt, or whatever else goes wrong, and that asset is then not completed. It's called an asset under construction, okay, and that messes up your books. So that is just the level of complexity, but you're quite right. Things have been allowed to happen in government, and I think it goes with the weakening and the politicization of the municipal service, the civil service, which would never be allowed in a place where you have to face shareholders and give an account of, exactly how is the money being spent. Got very sophisticated laws in this country, excellent laws, excellent institutions, but you still have a big political influence in how the city manager is appointed, how the city manager is fired. All of those things are council votes. And if you don't have the votes in council, you can effectively have political factions holding your municipality at ransom to make sure that people who are implicated in irregularities aren't acted against, or bad people are appointed. And that is the governance crisis that we have as a country.
Sabotage of infrastructure, particularly during the strike. How did you resolve it, or did you even have the strength to even work on it?
Well,
Sabotage.
let me just call. Maybe just say something about the strike. Many people in our city obviously experienced the chaos, the disruption. In one instance, one of our employees was actually shot, a case of attempted murder. And we visited in hospital to understand what exactly happened. And he was just determined to get the job done. And he was shot, and thank God he wasn't killed. But it was essentially over whether the city could afford 600 million rand in salary increases. And we know, given how much we struggle already to collect what is due to the municipality, people are under pressure. People can't afford increases that have to pay for salary increases. The VAT debacle also pointed to the pressure of the South African people and the economy that's not growing. So we had to make a difficult decision, and it was backed by the ANC and Action SA, interestingly enough, in the municipal council to forgo the salary increase. And so if your question is, how did you deal with it? In the first instance, you deal with it by making a decision which you're convinced is right, which is lawfully made, which is made in the best interests of the public. Because if you know that you've acted in the best interests of the people, of what the position requires of you, then you can withstand a lot of opposition, a lot of accusations, people saying bad things about you, or even threatening your family, which in my instance, there were threats to my family. But you knew you were acting right. And that is what gives you the moral courage to push through with a decision. The challenge with securing the infrastructure and making sure that people don't get intimidated, it gave us a very clear view of what's wrong in our municipality. And my conclusion from that is we have to use technology. We have to use the stuff that the private sector uses in order to secure an infrastructure. Not just during a strike, which is a once-off event every couple of years. Hopefully it won't happen again. But cable theft, vandalism of substations where they strip out the copper, and this leads to days and days of outages. The simple things that the private sector has, motion detectors, cameras, control rooms, linked to armed response. The days of having watchman services standing there with like a club or something, those are over. We have to deploy technology in the fight against crime. We were able to fix the damage of the strike, but unfortunately, it was an enormous strain on the municipality. I'm always so proud of especially the water team in Region 4, which is Centurion, Laudium, Olivenhout, Bosch. In that region, you've got the sinkholes. So if anything leaks in Region 4, it's a potential sinkhole. And within a month of the strike effectively ending, they had cleared an enormous backlog. And that could only have been possible by people doing more than just the ordinary day's work. So we could recover. And I think the important point is damage to infrastructure and so forth, the criminality. The important point was the city stood our ground. We won the case in the Labour Court. It's been up. The ANC coalition hasn't abandoned that case. It's maintained the case because the case is the case. There is no money. That's the position. And that was an important victory for the rule of law.
Water tanker mafias.
You know, it is the bane of anybody's existence who really cares about communities having access to proper water and sanitation. It is a massive multi-billion rand, multi-hundreds of million rand industry in this country. And the simple thing you have to understand about water tankers is if the taps don't work, or if the municipality can't deliver clean water, water tankers will not just be in business, they'll be a growing business. So there is an incentive for the system not to work. The Hammanskraal water project that we devised in my term of office, it includes building the package plant by Magalies Water at Klipdrift to give people clean water from the Pinaas River instead of the Apies River. Unfortunately, that project is behind, but it does have the promise of finally giving the residents of Hammanskraal clean water in their taps instead of having to depend on water tankers. If that water project works in Hammanskraal, it saves the municipality 70 million rand in stationing water tankers there every year. Now think of the
Wait. 17 million?
70, about 70
70 million
a year.
is what the city of Tshwane pays to have water tankers as contingencies.
In Hammanskraal only.
In Hammanskraal only.
Yes, the bigger bill is about 350, 400 million. And under the ANC coalition, it was increased by 64%. And remember, this is not water tankers to informal settlements. This is water tankers when the taps don't work. This is for formalized areas. I'm not even talking about informal settlements, because that obligation to serve informal settlements, it's there. You can't tinker with that. Obviously, we have to install taps there. I am talking only about the contingency if people can't get clean water or if the taps are down.
So you're planning a contingency of 400 million in case you deviate from water provision.
Yes.
400 million.
Yes. And that shows you the vested interest. So what I was about to say, if the city implements Hammanskraal water solution, city saves roughly 70 million a
for
year.
Hammanskraal only.
But think of the other guy's balance sheet or income statement rather. The water tankers are going to lose 70 million. And what do you do there?
They sabotage.
Where are you going to make your money? So I'm not saying that there's a conspiracy to sabotage. All I'm saying is look at the vested interests, at things not working. And then you understand the fight we are up against for a capable state, for a caring state, a state that can actually deliver. The other problem that you have with water tankers and that kind of business, you've got a media operation. You've got a certain barriers to entry. You've got to understand these technical things and the lights and the sound, and you've got to do a bit of investment. Maybe you've got something, another job on the side that you have to balance. There's a certain expertise that you need to deliver. The barriers to entry to the water tankering business is, do you control the streets? Do you have the muscle? And unfortunately, it is then a business that goes to strongmen. Let's use the word strongmen. And sometimes you need strongmen to get things done. Certain businesses are tougher than other businesses. But if we increase our dependence on water tankers instead of services in the ground, instead of water towers and installation of taps, then this country is going in the wrong direction. Imagine what you can do if you take half of that money, half of the 400 million, and you actually install infrastructure. That is what's going to give you your gains. But it's not just about talking. It's about actually delivering it on the ground and standing up to those vested interests.
Sure. Okay. So there was a time you spoke about, and I disagreed with you. There was a time you spoke about entry into, the refuse trucks. Yeah, and I understand you, and I've actually agree with you on this part.
Performance standards on the collector.
Yes, I understand this part where you say they must have tracking systems. You see, if he invoices that I did Denville, and you should actually see their metadata.
Where they use the trucks.
Where I disagreed with you is, and it seemed to be an impediment for new entrants into the market, is to say, did you say it should not be less than 9? It should not be over 9 years. I can't remember quite well. Do you not think if you are too stringent, you will only cater for markets that are existing, meaning new people will not be able to break into new industries?
Listen, if you land a contract with government, say for 5 years, a serious contract like that, or a subcontract to a contractor, you will be able to approach most financing institutions for support. Now, it is assumed that you know a little bit about the business, and you're not exactly like a tuck shop operator who currently becomes a waste collector, because that's the other part of the problem.
I want you to hold there, and apologies for doing that.
Yeah.
Please explain to the audience, how likely is it to get a contract without having infrastructure? Because before you give someone, you'd want to check their infrastructure. So it's for us who are not in that business, who would think government is so difficult because it can't give you, for lack of a better word, a purchase order to say, yeah, we can work with you if you can provide this. So someone could go to the bank and say, Tshwane promised to give me this if I raise enough money to buy adequate equipment to take care of this. So just balance it through so we can understand.
I want to give a quick answer, so just to put your mind at ease.
Sure.
Tshwane is 9 years, is already a concession to new entrants in the markets. To use 9-year-old trucks, you won't be able to do it in Joburg. You won't be able to do Ekurhuleni. They require 5 years. And we had this discussion. So having a 9-year-old truck, the ability to deploy a second-hand car essentially for new entrants into the subcontracting business, that is baked into it. That was not what upset the existing service providers. You got very established waste contractors, not new entrants into the market.
Yeah.
They just upset because we implementing standards, whereas they want to run trucks that break down, and then we get blamed. The politics, the streets are dirty.
Yes.
And what are the areas that get neglected? It's townships. It's townships that get neglected by bad service providers, because you have that existing disparity, and you don't have the concentration, and you don't have right next to municipal headquarters. So ensuring that waste collectors maintain standards is it's not for the wealthy. It's especially for vulnerable communities who tend to be shafted by people who have got contracts with government. But you put out your tender, and this is the municipality system. Ideally, we should have our own trucks. We should have our own capacity instead of relying on service providers. But be that as it may, we've got to deliver the service. And then the municipality appoints service providers who've got to show their capacity. And those service providers then subcontract to smaller operators. And that is where there is a measure of supporting small and medium enterprises. There would be an appointment letter. You take the appointment letter to the bank. You'll say, I've got so much. I might have 2 waste removal trucks. I've secured a contract. Please give me financing on a 3rd truck or a 4th truck. And that is how you would structure it. Now, all of those things are important. They're very important. We have to support SMMEs, but the number one consideration of government, does the service get delivered? Does it get delivered? And if government focuses on that, then the service providers will hold their subcontractors accountable. Interesting conversation I had with a Black Business Council when they came to me, and it was like, they felt like you felt. How could you impose these standards on new businesses? And I asked the office, please get me the list of the new guys, the new entrants, because now 60% of those guys lost their contracts. They went berserk. We believe some of them have got some interest into the ANC, be that as it may. So I said, no, I want to see the new list. That new list was almost entirely Black owned. It wasn't a situation of now we impose standards and now suddenly, the white guys or coloreds or Indians got the contracts. Black owned companies got it. Overwhelmingly, the companies that do business with the state are Black owned companies. And this idea that if you impose standards, you disadvantage Black entrepreneurs, that is as bigoted and as prejudiced as anything that you can say in way of saying, no, Black professionals can't deliver. It's rubbish.
Cilliers Brink, you're going back to the city. You went through the interviews. You successfully the best candidate in Tshwane for DA. In closing, what is it that you can promise the citizens of Tshwane? The confidence, you've been in government, the confidence that this is how you'll tackle this is how you tackle this. Maybe your parting shot on memorable things that you think are easy wins for you to go and garner.
In our 18 months in office, my team and I achieved a number of important objectives. We devised a solution to the Hammanskraal water crisis. We backed the city manager when he took action against the Rooiwal 5, Sodi's blessers, as Sowetan has called them. That had an important effect on changing the internal culture of the city. And that is important. You need professionals, not politicians, who can assist the elected leaders to deliver the mandate in government. We started improving the finances of the city. And as that improvement accumulates, it includes difficult decisions such as not paying salary increases that enabled the city to get a payment arrangement with Eskom. All of these things were done in order to deliver to honest, hard-working people of the city, from every corner, from every language, We passionately believe, my team and I, that government should deliver for the entirety of the city, and that the ethic should be on folks who work hard, or the emphasis should be on folks who work hard, make sacrifices, that they're not shafted, that they are not overtaxed and overbilled and overstrained. And I believe with a measure of stability, where a mayor and his team or her team can say, this is my program of action, this is what I expect you to hold me accountable to at the next election. With sufficient power in the council, that change can be made. And we have to do it in the metros. We can't neglect the metros. And the metros is where our economic activity is happening. It's like a clogged artery to the economy of South Africa. People move to cities in hope of a better life and in hope of better educational opportunities. We've got to build the infrastructure and put in place the systems to meet their expectations.
Thank you very much. Last question for me. Do you know who Ethim Balati is or Mantla Mashimbi?
No. You're going to educate me.
They are Palabra-born cricketers who made a success at the Northern Titans before they still played.
Okay.
In
All right.
Tada.
Great.
Thank you very much. Mashiane Politicallyincorrect. That is Cilliers Brink. The questions you can ask the comment line. Tada.